Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of the Snackology podcast, where we touch on snacks and everything about snacks. And we're just so glad that you joined us today as we talk about the United States' favorite cookies since 1912. Hey, so very beginning of the podcast, we are so stoked. Episode 1 about the Oreo cookie. Just to introduce myself, my name is Reed May, and I'm with my very good friend Josh.
Is that my introduction?
That was your introduction.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Let me introduce Reed so someone can introduce him. You may know him from this very podcast, or from life, or from Twitter.
Let's talk about Twitter. We have we actually just started a Twitter about this podcast, and we have a few followers that we just wanted to give a few shout outs to. First being my mother. My mom's the first one on there, and hey, thanks very much at April D. May for following us.
Very nice lady. If you're listening, April, you're a very, very nice lady. You raised two just gentlemen, two nice boys.
All right, well, let's move on to the second person. At PManny600, thank you so much for listening, Manny. Hey, you are the bomb guy. You're the guy.
You're the best.
And my future brother-in-law at Luis Art Gons, thank you so much. Hey, and if you ever see him around in Roswell, he's got a corn roaster, has some excellent corn, and that's an excellent snack that maybe we can talk about one day.
And the art in his Twitter handle, that's for his middle name, right?
I do think so. I believe it's Arthur in English.
It better be, because you'll be in trouble.
Yeah, Arthur's that would be a bad one to mess up on the web. At Lindsay Kelly, representing the Kelly family. Unfortunately, her husband, John, who's a jerk and hasn't followed us yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's just against snacks or following like really awesome new Twitter accounts. But thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you. Even though we see him eat snacks all the time because we know him in real life.
Mm-hmm. He's not snacking. He's punching other people's snacks.
Yeah,
which is the thing. Maybe we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. At Payne MS930, Savannah Payne, thanks a bunch for listening in. One of our very first followers, probably our third follower, the first that wasn't either of us.
She was the only one who demanded to be followed back.
And she got it.
Yeah.
She got it back.
Ask and you'll receive.
Yeah, and then that's
our demand.
Yeah, exactly. Demand it. At Bree Dowdy.
Hey, my wife
is wife. And very, very glad for...
I still think that joke is funny.
It is funny.
The only person. I also like... you know this, just for the listeners. When someone asks for my Wi-Fi password, I say, my Wi-Fi
is this.
I just think it.
And then it's a really, really long password, like 18 characters. Because that's funny.
Yeah.
Brianna's sister, Christian, thank you so much for following us. And as we get kind of closer down the list, we only have a few.
Yeah, what is it, 10 right now?
10 right now.
So if you follow us, we could read your Twitter handle on there.
Once it gets kind of beyond maybe 15 or 16, we're probably going to stop because that's going to be too many.
Mm-hmm.
Or 50, whichever kind of we run up to first. If we have 15 tomorrow, then I don't know, because we're not broadcasting tomorrow. But if we get to 50 next week, maybe we'll think about it.
Yeah. And our Twitter handle is ChristianBCRTR, which is kind of silly. If you're listening, you could have picked an easier handle, but that's fine.
You have less tweet space because of it.
Yeah, it's so long, Christian. It's so long.
Get with it. The next guy we're going to mention is at Colton May 1, who's my brother and also kind of monitoring the sound for us today.
He's our engineer, Colton. Thank you for the follow.
He's here next to us, but you can't see him or hear him.
Yeah, Colton, say something. Hey. Colton, don't talk if you don't have a mic.
It's the rule.
Colton, people are listening, and they get mad if they can't hear you. If there's any dead space in the podcast. So just make sure to shut it for the rest of the time. So thank you, Colton May 1. That was at Colton May 1. He's a great guy. Thank you, Engineer Colton.
I'm out of words. Hey, biggest shout out to the last 2 people. If you've been counting, we're now at 8. The last 2 people, obviously, because they were our very first 2 followers, because it was us at Dowdy23 and at Rita May, myself. Thanks, biggest shout out to you 2, because you are literally what's making this possible.
Those are cool guys. Don't you think, Colton? Colton, don't talk. If you don't have a mic.
No more talking. So, hey, those are our first 10 Twitter followers. Super stoked that we have a chance to do this with you. So let's get right down to it. So this is a podcast about snacks.
Yes, and we're gonna talk about snacks. We're gonna eat snacks on the podcast. So if you don't like hearing people eat, I guess you just skip over that part. I would say not to listen, but I really want you to listen.
Just listen to the beginning and the ending, because that's the part that we won't be eating. Well, we'll be talking about the snack a little bit later, but for the most part,
so we're gonna pick one snack for every 2 weeks. Maybe one snack. We'll get to some. We have some plans,
and it all depends too on maybe the size of the snack, maybe if they're related, maybe if it's one that's one flavor, one that's another flavor, maybe we can hit them at the same time. It all depends. And so kind of how we were thinking about doing this was first starting out, and this is the kind of the layout. So for the future, so that we're going to start with the history of the snack, kind of where the snack came from, kind of how the thought was conceived, and where it began, so that we can kind of know maybe the point, maybe the direction, maybe there wasn't something like it before.
Yeah, like was this snack an accident? Was it supposed to be something different?
Exactly.
Isaac Newton. I don't know.
And you never know. And so we're going to be talking about the history. We're also going to be talking about the packaging, because sometimes the packaging, I think it really is the biggest thing that hits you hard, because that's the first thing you see.
Mm-hmm. I'm talking about just real fast marketing. I think they're doing a great job right now is Coke. See those new Coke bottles that says like share a Coke with Josh or
extremely personal.
I don't like Coke, but I wanted to find my name and buy it.
Right.
So, good job, Coke. I just wanted to.
I think that is excellent. I actually saw a few people handing out their name, and they actually have some kind of uncommon names too, so maybe everybody can kind of jump in on that. It wasn't like just exclusive to the names.
I thought it'd be funny if I just bought one that wasn't my name, that said like share a Coke with Ricky.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the packaging, and because the packaging is kind of the first thing that you see before you even see the snack, and good thing to kind of know what you're getting into before you get to it. After that, we're going to be kind of talking about the serving size, because the serving size is what the companies say should be enough.
I think it's misleading. We'll get to it.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes it can be a little confusing. Next, we'll hit on our first impressions, kind of what happens as soon as we put the snack in our mouth and how we feel at that exact moment. And we won't talk about it with the food in our mouth because no one will understand, but maybe seconds afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I can try it. And then you can talk, and then then you can try, and I don't know, we'll figure it out.
Maybe even the expressions on your face, kind of if it's sour.
Yeah. So Reed will be describing the look on my face.
Exactly.
And then when it's Reed's turn to try the snack, I'll describe the look on his face.
Exactly. And I think that way we can have a good kind of, without having to be here, knowing what's happening at the moment, because we're not liars. We're going to tell you the absolute truth, good or bad.
I'm reading a book right now by Ed Catmull. He's the president of Pixar and Disney Animation. And that was real interesting because in like one part of the book, he said like in a bunch of seminar, like every seminar he goes to, he asks the people if they think honesty is the most important like quality in a relationship, like personal or business. And everyone always says yes. I would say yes. Would you say yes, Reed?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
And Engineer Colton, please don't talk.
Shut.
Please, I don't know how many times do we have to tell you? Am I muted right now? I don't want to embarrass you. Am I muted? I don't know how many times to tell you if you don't have a mic. If you don't have a mic, just keep it to yourself. Anyway, so Ed Catmull says that honesty is the most important thing, and everyone agrees with it. Like that's what they want. They want people to be honest with them. They want to be honest with people. He says like so many people are afraid to be honest, even though they think it's the most important thing. Guess what? Snack companies? We're gonna be honest.
We are going to be honest. You may not care about our opinion, but people are listening. And who knows? I mean, there's 10 followers now, but a week from now, there could be 10,000.
Or 12. I think John's going to follow us after he hears this.
Yeah, well, and it's his own fault for not, because now he doesn't know what's happening. But hey, that's kind of the first impressions. We're going to kind of know what's going to be happening. Second, no pun intended, we're going to be talking about second impressions, kind of what we felt maybe a few minutes later. Because if the companies say this much of the snack is enough to fill you up for a little while, then it should be enough. Well, we're going to find out a couple minutes later if it really did fill us up, if it really was enough. And I think that's going to be super important, because it's not just what happens as soon as you have the snack, it's what happens afterwards, because you got to know if you're full or not.
Right. So, are we ready?
Yeah, we are absolutely ready. And we'll kind of talk about the last step that we're going to take towards the end of the show. So, what we have in front of us now is a box of Oreos. Not the big package, the smaller one. And kind of let's talk a little bit about the history of the snack before we go on.
Okay, the history of the Oreo. My source is the very reliable Wikipedia.
Thank you so much, Wikipedia, for letting us use your website.
No plugs. Please don't send us money. You can send us snacks if you want more snacks. So according to wikipedia.org, Oreo is a sandwich cookie consisting of 2 chocolate discs with a sweet cream filling in between. This version is certainly sold in the United States and is made by Nabisco, division of Mondelez International. That's a funny way to spell that, guys.
It says Nabisco on the package, just so
yeah, let's just keep it. Okay, first of all, Oreo. Keep it simple and just say Nabisco.
That's easier to say.
Oreo has become the best-selling cookie in the United States since its introduction in 1912. And another little thing is that they call the flat part, the disc part, they call it the Oreo biscuit, which is it's a funny name for like what it is, like a cookie. But in the UK, our friend, and this bugs me too. Let me talk about this. So in the UK, they call cookies biscuits. You've heard that, right?
Yes.
We watch enough BBC
enough
to know that they call cookies biscuits. Because when they're like, let me have a biscuit, and they give them a cookie. At first, I was like, that person obviously wasn't listening because they asked for a biscuit.
Well, and how crisps are, how chips are crisps.
I don't mind that. I mind the cookies being called biscuits. So, like, what do they call their biscuits? Maybe this is a question for our friend at Taylor Punch. Is that his Twitter handle?
Yes, that is correct. Who
maybe he can.
And if you don't know at Taylor Punch personally or over the internet, he studied abroad in London over, what was it, a winter? Kind of the winter time from September to about December.
Yeah, it was our winter. So maybe. I don't know, maybe Taylor has some stories. Maybe we can get him on the podcast later when he's in town.
Definitely.
And we'll talk about what they call biscuits. Because I don't know. They call cookies biscuits. But what do they call like the fluffy brown thing that some people enjoy for breakfast?
It's a question that I think is hurting the United States.
Anyway, so just so everyone's clear, the little chocolate disc is called the Oreo biscuit. And that's all I had for history.
And I think that's, okay, let's talk about 1912. Mm-hmm. What kind of a year that was. Okay, if you don't know, we are broadcasting from New Mexico. 1912 was the year that New Mexico became a state.
I think, I see that on quarters.
Yes. And also 1912 is the same year that the Titanic sank.
A coincidence?
2 big events whenever the Oreo was created. I think it was made a piece. New Mexico was being created, which is cool. Mm-hmm. And then the Titanic sank. A bunch of people died. Not cool. Oreo came along. Everybody's feeling all right.
It's a circle of life, bro.
circle of biscuit. Biscuit of life is what's happening. The Oreo.
I get their type because biscuits are round, right? Roundish.
Most,
and cookies are round. Do they just not? We'll talk about this. We'll talk about it with Taylor.
Yeah. So okay. So we got a little bit of the history of the snack. If you have anything to add to us, please tweet us at Podsnack. That's our Twitter handle. If you haven't caught on already, because we haven't said it. Also, you are listening to the Snackology podcast. So, hey, let's talk a little bit about the packaging, kind of what we think of the packaging. Josh, what do you see that kind of sticks out to you most about this package?
Well, we'll post a picture of it, but it's not what you think of. Like, if we say a box of Oreos, I think people have like a set image of what that, like a box of Oreos looks like. This is literally a box. It's like a weird looking rectangle of a box. So yeah, like on the packaging, it's a blue box. I think Oreo, they just stick with blue on all their,
which is weird because the cookie's black.
Yeah, and the cookie is on the packaging. Let me pick up the box several times. I mean, judging from the box, I would eat what's inside. We don't know what's inside. The box is unopened.
It gives you a great.
We haven't opened the box
though.
But I'm gonna tell you guys this. I would open this box and I would eat the delicious Oreo biscuits that are inside.
And if you don't know what an Oreo is, I suggest you go buy one. Okay, if you haven't had one yet, stop right here. Go to the store, go grab one, go pick up a box, and then come back and then listen as we do this so you can have the sensation with us.
I think it would be a fun thing if you guys ate the snacks with us, because then it's like you're here, you're a part of the experience.
Exactly. And we're going to do our best to tweet out what snack we're going to be doing the next week so that way we're not recording it right now and we're saying, hey, you should go get it and stop everything you're doing and go get this snack because maybe something you have to order online. We don't know yet.
We're going to talk about this later. If you guys have suggestions for snacks that you'd like us to talk about or try, you can send those suggestions to our Twitter at Podsnacks.
Hey, so excellent way to start. I want to talk a little bit about something on the packaging too. A little, not exactly, there's not a whole lot of continuity here. The box says these are chocolate sandwich cookies from the history. Is that correct? Or are they chocolate sandwich biscuit cookies?
Well, on the box, it says Milk's favorite cookie.
Yes.
But according to the very reliable Wikipedia, it says that they're Oreo biscuits. Now, I don't know.
Maybe someone from the UK wrote that, which would be weird, but they did. Even though, because I was just looking at the box, and it says kind of here on the back where the nutrients facts are, East Hanover, New Jersey, where the Mondelez Global LLC is. So this is an American cookie.
Okay. What perfect for this weekend is we're recording this over the 4th of July weekend. So
yes.
This is an excellent first snack. It's patriotic. It's a classic.
Red, white, and blue.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Red, white, and blue on the pack because of Nabisco.
Way to go, Nabisco.
So, hey, that's all I can think of as far as the packaging. Let's talk about the serving size real quick. So if this box has the same continuity with the larger boxes, because we do have the smaller portion of the box, so we don't have a bunch of cookies to waste. The serving size says it's 3 cookies. So 3 cookies is about how many you need to be full for a while.
I said this earlier. I just touched my mic. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'm sorry, Engineer Colton. Colton, please don't talk. So I said this earlier, but I don't think 3 cookies is enough.
No,
I know. I'm saying that just first impressions. We'll see. We'll try it and see. But first off, like when I don't grab 1 Oreo cookie.
No, or 3.
I grab
maybe 3 the first time.
Minimum 2.
Minimum 2.
And
then you go back and get another 2, and then you have 4, which is more the serving size. So.
Yeah. So we'll see. First impressions. I don't think that's gonna be enough.
Yeah, and I want to clarify one thing before we go any further as far as eating the snack. These are the regular cookies. These are the original. These are not double stuffed. These are not inside out. These are plain Oreo cookies.
The original Oreo biscuit.
Yes. Or chocolate sandwich cookies, whichever floats your boat. So are we ready to open them?
I think so. Did we talk about serving size?
We did talk about serving size.
Okay, I was paying attention, I promise.
All right. Well, Engineer Colton, let's get some milk. Because it does say that it is Milk's favorite cookie. And I don't know how emotionally we're going to be able to figure this out because Milk can't talk. But we're going to find out whether it's Milk's favorite cookie because it might be another kind of cookie.
Okay, Engineer Colton's now out of the room, so he can't hear us. I know he's your brother, but the guy keeps on talking. He doesn't have a mic. I don't know if he's just never listened to a podcast before. I don't know what his problem is, but it's like, I know, there's a general rule of thumb. You're not supposed to have any dead space on a podcast.
No.
And Colton just keeps on talking. Like, is the kid okay? Is Engineer Colton fine?
You know, medically, I don't know.
I mean, I'm concerned for his well-being.
I'm concerned that he isn't getting us our milk fast enough. Now, while he's gone out of the room, something surprising has happened. We've opened the box for the Oreos.
Oh yeah,
Check
we
this
were
out.
talking about this earlier. We didn't know what it was going to be.
It is a clear package.
Okay, so we can see.
Thank you, Engineer Colton.
Anything back in there? Oh
I can be able to
goodness.
shut
Thanks,
up.
Engineer Colton.
Thank you. Okay, so we were both surprised. We were both a little taken back. We both thought that it was going to be aluminum packaging.
Mm-hmm. You know, I like this because, you know, first off, I noticed there are no crumbs.
No, I do see one broken piece, however. I do see one broken chip.
No, and it's the first one.
It's the first one, so maybe it was impacted from the side. I don't know what could happen. Let's go ahead and open this up, though. We're going to each grab 3 cookies.
And Engineer Colton got us some milk. And we'll talk about this with Taylor. But you got 2% milk.
Yes.
Which is your favorite.
Yeah, 1 or 2%. Honestly, I can't tell the difference, but whole milk, I mean, it's just not something I can really get into.
I think I can tell the difference. I'm not a big milk drinker, so I think maybe because I'm not in love with the drink, maybe I'm a little more sensitive. I know Taylor prefers whole, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll go for any kind of milk, skim,
Just a milk lover.
any kind of percentage.
You know what, Taylor? If you're listening to this, and if you want to, we'll talk about cereal.
We will talk about cereal, whatever kind of cereal you think be best. And we are going to do our best to limit this to snacks, but cereal can be a snack middle of the day.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep it to that.
You're listening to Snackology.
Thank you for listening to Snackology. You were with Josh and Breeden. So we have 3 Oreo cookies in front of us, non-double stuffed, regular, non-inside out, regular cookies with a cup of milk. And I'm going to go ahead and let Josh go first.
Okay. Should I dip first or just the cookie?
I think definitely just the cookie at first. That way we can get the raw experience.
My first, initial. And you're going to describe my face.
Yes. Okay. Cookie's in. I don't see a smile. I don't see a bitter look. He's thinking because he's not looking directly at me. Now he is.
My mouth is full of cookies. I'm going to take a drink of milk. I'm going to follow up with a drink of milk.
So everything so far looked pretty good. Nothing nasty. I mean, you know, maybe we've all had an Oreo at some point in our lives. There's probably a good chance you have. So maybe you already know what these taste like. But we're getting in detail here. We're talking about how easy it was to open the package, which, by the way, wasn't easy.
You know, my first regret, instead of taking a bite, I shoved the entire cookie in my mouth, which I now realize was a mistake. The concerned look on my face was like, I'm gonna die on, like I'm choking on this cookie. So first reaction, it was very dry.
Yes, very much so.
It was
previous experience.
Yeah, like I thought I was gonna I thought it was gonna die. Like, I thought this could be my last snack. I didn't know. I didn't
We
know what to
just
think.
started. We just began.
But about halfway through, the Oreo biscuit part started to just crumble some more, and it got really smooth. And then I got the cream filling, which was very sweet. And I'm like, hey, I'm having a good time. I'm no longer concerned for my life. My mouth is like enjoying the flavors. It's a very good mixture of chocolate and cream. Personally, I've had the double stuffed. I don't think you need it because I got.
No, I personally
I
agree.
got I got. First of all, I got like all the flavors that I'd ever want just then, right there.
And you know what I saw actually the other day? I saw, and I didn't really get a good look at it. I probably should have, knowing that this podcast was coming up. I saw a Max stuffed with cream. They didn't even have regular. I was at a gas station. They didn't even have the regular. They had double stuffed, and then they had Max stuffed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but okay. And then here's the problem: the biscuit is the same thickness as the original. It's the cream that has changed.
Okay. See, I think the reason why I went. Here's another problem I have. I'm gonna eat another cookie, but this time I'm not gonna put the whole thing in my mouth.
I'm gonna do the same.
I'm gonna take a bite, which causes a problem for me. So I'm gonna take a bite right now.
Okay. It happens every time. If you're an Oreo eater, then you know what just happened.
Yeah, for the listeners, it crumbled, and then I look like an idiot trying to catch like all the crumble pieces from like falling down.
Well, and then there's always a large chunk. Now, I'm saying large chunk in comparison to a dust of crumb. It could be large, small-ish, but large, or it could be massive, like half the cookie that sticks around that you have to figure out.
I did enjoy taking the bite, eating half the cookie, more than I did putting the whole thing in my mouth. Because when I didn't fear for my life, I wasn't concerned. I taking half the bite. I didn't think like, did I tell my family I love them?
And that's something you have to think about before you eat any snack, because it's always a choking hazard. Because we're adults, we're not babies, but it's still a choking hazard. I mean, an entire Oreo cookie in your mouth could be the end of your life.
Following up with the milk, I recommend, because it just made everything so much better.
Now, you've only had a cookie and a half, and you already recommend it.
I recommend the milk. I'll give them my
Okay.
opinion with the cookie.
Okay. Now, I just had a good experience. I took half of a cookie, and it didn't break off in my mouth, but it did further break off in my hands.
It crumbled.
It did crumble, and there's crumbs underneath me, which will probably have to sterilize this table later. But I'm going to go ahead and finish my cookie, and then I'm going to take a drink of the milk, tell you how I feel, then we'll dip in the milk, and we'll kind of talk about kind of our concluding thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
But we do have to finish all the Oreos. We do have to have an entire serving size in order for this to be valid. So we know if we're full or not, because right now, obviously, I'm not. I've only had half a cookie, but we're about to take this to the next level.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why we're having this with milk is because the box says that it's Milk's favorite cookie. And then a lot of people, they like associate Oreos with milk. I know when I talked about this with Bree, she asked what snack we were doing. She's like, oh, you guys got to have milk.
Yeah, and that's, right before we started recording this, I made sure, I was like, you know what, we have to go get some milk. I didn't have any. We have to go get some milk because, as they claim, it is Milk's favorite cookie. And we want to be sure that we have the companion. Because how do we know? Milk can't talk. Milk doesn't have feelings like human beings. It just doesn't. It's a fluid from an animal that was cleansed and pasteurized, and it no longer has any character. It's just a fluid now. How do we know? That's why we're here.
We don't know.
Snackology.
Yeah, you're listening to Snackology. Who knows? Milk may be Oreo's favorite fluid. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't personally. I don't want to speak for Nabisco. I don't want to speak for the Oreo company. But I don't. Maybe they haven't branched out from milk. Maybe they haven't given like.
why don't they make milk so that they know that it's the best?
Yeah, like I would say, first off, like other breakfast drinks probably wouldn't work, like an Oreo and apple juice. That's been way too.
Yes.
The apples are way too acidic, and then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I'm gonna go ahead and dip.
Yeah, how would you feel about Oreo and coffee?
I have mixed feelings. I've
Uh-huh.
heard. I haven't personally done it myself, so maybe that's something we could do.
Because most people like flavored coffee, but I know you don't. You just like black coffee.
I don't mind a flavor like if it's French vanilla light roast, but it's just the cream. I'm just not a huge fan of. It's the cream and just the extra stuff.
Which is surprising because you like milk. Right now, I am dipping the Oreo in the milk. I think you just did that, right? Reed just tried that.
I just did that, and I'll talk about my experiences. Josh does that as well. Now, contrary to what we had talked about earlier about stuffing the entire cookie in your mouth, that's exactly what I did with the milk. I dipped the entire cookie in milk. I then followed by putting the entire cookie in my mouth. And I'll tell you what, I was not scared. I can see how, and I'll do that with the next one, and I'll confirm your thoughts about telling your loved ones that you love them because they're your loved ones and you're concerned about your life. But whenever I put the dipped cookie in my mouth, the entire thing, it dissolved right away because it was moist, because this is a fluid, and it was fine. And it still tasted good.
Yeah, I did that with my half of the cookie. So I only had half of the cookie. It wasn't as dry because it was drenched in milk, but it was soggy. And I know like some people, like they have a lot to do with, they don't like soggy things. Personally, I didn't mind the soggy cookie. It didn't take away from the flavor.
No, not at all.
I still thought it was fine. I know for some people that'd be a problem, having a soggy cookie.
And now you can't blame us just in case you try this and you say, "Oh, I don't like that soggy cookie. I'm going to be mad at them." You can't do that with us because it's the time period that you leave the cookie in the milk that
guys,
determines the sogginess.
You can dip at your own discretion. So Reed, he just put the entire dry cookie in his mouth. I'm going to describe his face. He looks very concerned. I don't know if I should be talking or running to him to help him.
I'm okay.
He is okay. He is fine. Everyone can.
I can breathe.
Everyone can relax. Yeah, I was thinking like there's so much more stuff I want to do. Like I want to go to Disney World. I've never been to Disney World or Disneyland. I'd personally want to go to Disney World because of Epcot Center, and they have Universal Studios. Have you ever been Engineer Colton? Please don't talk if you don't have a mic. You're listening to Snackology.
Hey, so I'm back. Just took an entire cookie, and I am absolutely confirming what Josh had said earlier about fearing, because it did not dissolve. It took a while because my mouth had to moisten it, and that's what took a while.
I'd personally not, if I was in public, I wouldn't put the entire cookie in my mouth.
You look like a fool.
I would much rather it crumble than me just like look like I'm running out of air.
Because it's understandable. But whenever you put an entire Oreo in your mouth, you look like an oaf. Because you're stuffing the whole thing in your mouth. Especially a double stuffed Oreo. You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, I have one more cookie left. And for my cookie, I'm going to do the twist off. So if you're a fan of Oreos, I'm sure everyone's done this, is you twist off one side of the biscuit. So I'm doing it now.
Basically,
am I going to mess up?
I'm going to explain it to the viewers. What's happening, you grab one side of the Oreo with the tip of your fingers and you grab the other side, the two biscuit portions, and you turn them the other way extremely carefully and slowly so that the white cream filling stays on one side while the other is just the biscuit.
And I didn't do it carefully enough because
your center's gone.
Yeah, I have just a big hole missing.
It's like Hurricane Arthur.
From my feeling. So I forgot what people do when they do this now. Do they just eat the dry biscuit?
I think they eat the dry biscuit, but if I remember correctly...
Because I don't do this. I've seen people do this.
I don't do it personally on a regular basis. If I get bored with the way that I'm eating my Oreo, then I do it. What I believe people do is they attempt to lick the cream off of the large portion, the portion with all the cream left. They try and lick it. but I'm not sure.
What I'm going to do is just the biscuit part without the cream. I'm going to go ahead and dip that in the milk again. And then I'm going to put the entire cookie in my mouth.
Yeah, Josh just dipped the whole cookie, just the biscuit portion, into and into the milk.
And so now I'm going to do what Reed recommended. I'm going to lick the filling off. What flavor do you think this filling is? Like vanilla?
It's claimed to be vanilla cream, as far as I understand. That may have been something we might have wanted to cover in the history because it says nothing about it on the box, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, I stopped. I just stopped reading after I read the word Oreo biscuit, just because I was so disturbed by that.
Yeah, and that's why we're talking about this. If you feel like you need to take some more, get some history down about the Oreo cookie, you want to know more, you can always just search Oreo in Google or any whatever search engine you prefer other than Google, and you can search that, and Wikipedia will be the first or second one. You can get the whole history, or at least what someone believed the history to be, because you can go on Wikipedia and edit anything you want. And Josh went ahead and just finished his third cookie, and so now we're finally going to be able to get into the second impressions portion, which the second impressions for us is how we're feeling a couple minutes later, a couple minutes after we've had the Oreos, just to know if it really fulfilled our need for snacks. You know, really if it fulfilled what we needed to do for snacks, if it filled us up, if it was good enough, and if we feel okay. Because a snack isn't supposed to be a meal. It's just supposed to help you out for a little bit.
I will say, I have chunks of cookie stuck in between my teeth.
Same here.
Which made me reach for more milk. So maybe, I'm not going to start a conspiracy, but the milk company is paying Oreo under the table to say, hey, say we're your favorite. That way, because people aren't buying enough milk. Our sales will skyrocket. And,
if it sticks in your mouth. If you make the Oreo stick in people's mouths.
Yeah, that way people drink more milk. I don't know. I'm no expert. You're listening to Snackology.
Well, and here's the thing, too. If you look at an Oreo, and if you ever are able to have one in your hand, you can crumble it. And what happens whenever, if you took a whole Oreo and you just crumbled it in your hand, what's left on the table? Bunch of chocolate dust, right? Bunch of chocolate dust specks.
Yeah.
That's because an Oreo is basically a pressed together bunch of dust chocolate. So what's going to happen is as soon as it hits moisture, it's going to crumple together and stick in your mouth. Now, for some reason, that doesn't happen when you put it in the milk. Only some of it still goes back in the milk. But whenever you eat it, it stays behind your teeth and you have to wash it down. And if you run out of milk, you're in huge trouble, because if it's milk's favorite cookie, you need to wash it down with milk, so you go buy more milk.
Right now, I'm looking inside of my milk cup. I see little chocolate flakes. And since I know what it is, I know it's an Oreo. I know that I put it there. I'm not concerned. I'm going to drink the milk. Maybe I'll get a little chocolate flavor. If I saw this milk on the side of the road, I
probably would.
I probably wouldn't drink it. I can't say that because it's never happened.
Well, I don't know how often that it is that we're able to find milk on the side of the road in a nice little cup.
If I did, I wouldn't drink it because of the little chocolate.
But all it could have been was an Oreo, and you just wouldn't know it. You just have to do it yourself. Now, I just finished my milk, and I can count how many dust specks are in there. Well, maybe not now looking around the sides. I'll count what's at the bottom. I see 3 major chocolate specks.
No, look at my milk. I have a ton.
Yeah, Josh has them all over, but he hasn't finished yet. So
I'll finish drinking my milk.
And while he's doing that, I'll talk about how I'm feeling as far as my second impressions. Now, neither one of us were extremely starving whenever we came to do this, but we weren't completely full. We tried to be somewhere in between, so that this was, we didn't do this to fill our stomachs, because we would have eaten the whole package.
I would say I was ready for a snack. But I wasn't starving. Yeah,
and if we were starving, then anything would have been good. We could have said anything. Oh, this is 5 out of 5. I'm feeling great. But we wanted to do this coming in completely unbiased. That way we could taste the Oreo for what it is.
If I was really hungry, I would probably be so desperate to drink sidewalk milk, which thankfully hasn't happened yet.
And hopefully never will, because then we won't have our co-host on Snackology. But so we came into this completely okay. We were just at an okay spot. And currently, as of this moment right now, I'm feeling full. I have a sweet mouth. And I have the milk aftertaste, so that's going to happen. But if you were going to have, it's really difficult to have an Oreo without something to drink. It's even if you just had water.
Yeah, you'd have to have something to wash down the Oreo,
because you're going to feel really, really dry as soon as you finished your snack.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I was wrong because I had 3 Oreos. I didn't think it was gonna be enough. I'm okay.
I'm okay as well.
I won't say what I thought about the Oreo, but I will say this: I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too,
and I don't want another one.
Yeah, and here's what I'm gonna say. For me personally, on my side of it, an Oreo for me is not an everyday cookie. It's kind of special to me. Yeah, I kind of have to be in the mood for an Oreo. Now, maybe a homemade cookie, I'm good for any day of the week. Homemade chocolate chip cookie,
a biscochito.
Yes, any day of the week, I'll be happy with those things. But an Oreo, I kind of have to be feeling it, because whenever you go to the gas station, you're going to see competition cookies, which we'll talk about later. You're listening to Snackology, but an Oreo is something that you have to want. As far as I go.
Do you remember your first Oreo?
I couldn't say that I do.
I don't know. Oreos have just been around my entire life.
Kind of like air. It's just always been there
since 1912.
And that was before either of us were born. So they were high in their marketing at the time that we were born, that we came out.
I will say this. I read this on Wikipedia, that when Nabisco bought Oreo, they added the Nabisco logo. So if you look on the Oreo cookie, which we didn't talk about what the cookie looked like. I think it looks ridiculous.
It does look a little out there, doesn't it?
And it says Oreo on the cookie. Like, listen, Oreo, I know what you are. I went to the store. I looked at the cookies. I saw an Oreo box. I know what Oreos look like. We just talked about it. I can't remember when I had my first Oreo. So I know what Oreos are. I don't want to read the cookie.
No, but there is one good thing that I think that has come with the Oreo branding thing on the cookie. You're listening. You're listening to Snackology. They did, and I remember this. They did a marketing ploy. I don't know if you'd call it that, a few years ago, where you had to look for, I don't know, I can't remember what the design was, but they put a certain design on the cookie.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And if you found, I don't know, I'm just gonna say the golden cookie. It wasn't gold; it was still chocolate. But if you found the golden cookie, you won something amazing. But what that made you want to do was find the one, so you just had to keep buying the cookies.
Mm-hmm. See, if Oreos had just stuck to just the original Oreo, I may have a little more respect for the company. But they have we talked about double stuffed, and then was like even a bigger one, right?
Yeah, the Max stuff,
and they have like different flavors. Like that, I think for the holidays they have like a peppermint flavor.
Yeah, they have the peanut butter.
Oh, for the summer there's like a watermelon. I don't want that. I don't want that Oreo.
No, whenever I think of Oreos, I think of black and white chocolate. I mean, it's not white chocolate, but
when I go to the store, the only Oreo I'm gonna get, I hope you're listening, Nabisco, is the original Oreo.
Yeah, and if we're forced to get the double stuffed, then I don't know. Maybe I would cave. Maybe I would cave if I was forced to get the double stuffed.
Yeah,
they just didn't have the option. But
yeah, I'd probably get the double.
If we're at the store and we have the option of just getting the original Oreo, which honestly was a little hard to find, because whenever I was as we were talking about earlier, I went to the gas station. They did not have the original Oreo. I looked and looked and looked. They just had double stuffed and Max. And then whenever you go to Walmart, it's hard to just find an Oreo box anymore, because there's all the different flavors. There's all the different packaging.
I know we may have to do watermelon Oreo because that sounds disgusting.
And we're going to be honest about these snacks, about how we feel, good or bad. We don't know what we're getting into. I mean, the Oreo, we kind of knew what we were getting into with this one. But
Yeah,
maybe
we wanted to start it with just like a solid classic snack.
And I definitely think this is a classic American snack. 1912, whenever New Mexico was founded, so very American.
On the 4th of July weekend. What day is it? It's the 5th.
Today is the 5th.
4th of July was yesterday.
So July the 5th be with you.
You're listening to Snackology.
Hey, and I think we've pretty much wrapped it up.
Right, so what would you rate? I know what I would rate. I kind of figured going into this what I would rate the Oreo. What would you give the rating?
If I was to rate the Oreo, and we're going to do this 1 out of 5 stars. Oh, we could also do 0 stars if it's like making us throw up minutes later. Which we'll talk about an experience like that later in another podcast. If I were to rate this cookie alone, it would be 3 out of 5 stars. And I'll tell you why. The cookie was great. The cookie tasted great, and we were both kind of right on that. We both felt okay afterwards, like we were pretty filled up, so did do a good job. But the dryness of the cookie by itself was just a little hard to handle.
This is my biggest problem.
Now, if I was to dip it in milk for a good 3 or 4 seconds, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Just because it was so much easier to take in. And honestly, it helped me finish the milk a lot quicker.
I'm going to say 4 out of 5. Just around, just total 4 out of 5. Dry.
Cookie alone.
Yeah. Cookie alone or in milk. My score doesn't change.
Nice.
4 out of 5 Oreo. And the reason why you're not 5 out of 5 is because it was so dry, and I thought, like, I've never climbed a mountain.
No, neither of us have.
I've never swam in the ocean.
Drove up a mountain once, but it's not the same.
I haven't been to Epcot Center. All those thoughts went through my mind. And that's why you're 4 out of 5.
And here's Oreo Nabisco. Oh, here's a new one. Nabisco. Here's
I like that.
Here's
You're listening to Snackology.
Snackology podcast. Here's another reason why, just to me, you didn't really make the 4 out of 5.
Oreo.
Hey, we're coming up with a great. Nothing against Oreo, great snack, but these are just cool nicknames.
Yeah, I think it's obvious we liked them.
But just the reasons why they wouldn't get a 5 out of 5, and it's going to be really hard to get a 5 out of 5 on the show because there's always going to be something.
Yeah.
Out of these things, how we felt. The reason for me was just all the different options. Like, there's just too much to pick from, honestly.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, milk. I know there's chocolate milk and strawberry milk, but I don't want blueberry milk. I don't want people to start making blueberry milk or watermelon milk. Or, I don't know, something weird like fat-free milk. That's all wrong.
Papaya.
Yes. Or coffee milk that they kind of make. Anyway, I don't want them to make that.
See, I don't have a problem with flavored coffee. I know you really do, but like I'd much rather have like all the flavored coffee than just a black coffee.
I don't know. It's something that grew on me. It wasn't something that happened right away.
See, I'm also not a coffee drinker.
Yeah.
So that's me. So like
Josh,
I'll drink it just for the taste. And then when I do drink coffee, I know for you this is like a sin. I drink decaf.
Yeah, decaf is only something I do.
Because I don't drink any caffeine. Last time I had a ton of caffeine, I had a panic attack.
It was for real.
It was a real panic attack,
it was
guys.
Scary.
I'm okay now. You don't have to worry.
You're listening to Snackology.
You're listening to Snackology.
Hey, so any more final thoughts you want to add in?
No, I just want to say if anyone listened to this and they're extremely frustrated, me and Reed are not culinary experts. We're just two bros who just like snacks and we want to talk about them.
And you know what? We didn't mention this earlier whenever we kind of introduced ourselves. This is something that we've been wanting to do for a few years, and we just never really got to it. It was something that you kind of brought up, I think maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And it was like kind of funny at first, and it was like, oh yeah, that would be cool, but neither one of us really have the time. But now once we started thinking about it, like, hey, this could be a great idea, and I think it's turned into something very cool. First episode, already something cool.
Yeah, something we've just created something amazing.
Genesis, like Star Trek from the Wrath of Khan. Just watched that today. It was on my mind.
Did you watch it on Netflix?
Yes, I did. It was on Netflix, and I did listen to the Mission Log episode following. So hey, shout out to Mission Log.
Yeah, Mission Log. I don't know if that's their Twitter. I don't know, maybe.
No, it's a good way to find them now.
So I like the Oreo.
I think the Oreo is a great
Good,
snack.
Good job, Nabisco.
Good sweet snack. Hey, so here's what we're gonna do. Here's kind of the plan. Now that we've kind of wrapped it up with the snack and gave it our ratings, we want to know what you think about the Oreo. So if you could tweet us at Podsnack on Twitter, or you can send us an email for any of you people who do email at podsnack@gmail.com.
I think it's a lost art form.
I think so too, but just to be available.
I think the youth of today don't appreciate the art of email. I don't think they check them. I don't think they write them. I don't think they appreciate them.
Engineer Colton being one of them.
You're listening to Snackology. Okay, Engineer Colton never checks his email. Hey, Colt, check your email.
He probably still won't.
You're listening to Snackology.
Snackology. Hey, last thing that we want to follow up on. Funny because we're calling this the follow-up. In 2 weeks, whenever we hit our next snack, we're going to actually talk about how we felt a few hours after we had the snack that we had today, the Oreo, the U.S.'s favorite cookie since 1912. We're going to be talking about how we feel afterwards. So that way you can know if we had any problems, if it really was enough, how long it was enough for. And we're going to do our very best to keep track of that so you guys can understand fully and most powerfully before you go buy an Oreo what you're going to experience.
And again, if you have a snack that you'd like us to try, you can just send that to our Twitter.
Yeah, and that's going to be at Podsnack, and definitely send us a follow, and we may or may not follow you, depending on how far away you live. Or it could be national. It doesn't matter.
Anything else? You want to do the plugs?
Yeah, we can do a few plugs. So you want to go ahead and get us started on that?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to plug our podcast. So if you're not listening to Snackology, hey, get on that train.
Catch on that train, so that way you can find out. And hey, help us tell people about Snackology, because we're going to be covering a whole lot of stuff. And you know what? There's never enough snacks to go around. There's always something. And hey, and let's kind of define real quick before we end what a snack is, so you know what you can send to us and what we'll accept or deny. It doesn't necessarily have to be prepackaged, but prepackaged is a good way to go. It doesn't have to be. I don't know. There's no really. It doesn't have to be a dessert snack. It can be kind of a lunch snack or breakfast snack. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. But it cannot be a meal. Meals do not count.
So like, I think I would accept like a mini calzone.
Yes,
but not a full calzone. Calm down.
I would.
A calzone's a meal.
I would accept a mini pumpkin pie, and even though I love pumpkin pie,
what about a slice?
A slice of pumpkin pie, I believe, would count, but just not an entire pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Because one serving size of that would be massive on your belly. So, hey, I think we pretty much wrapped it up.
We did it.
We got through our very first podcast. And, hey, if you're still listening to the end, we applaud you. It has been an excellent 53 minutes about Oreos. And we are just so glad that you came to join us today. Thank you for listening to Snackology.
You can follow Reed at Reed A. May.
And you can follow Josh Dowdy at Dowdy23. And don't forget to follow podcast at Podsnack. Wait, I didn't say that correctly. Don't forget to follow our podcast on Twitter at Podsnack. Hey, thanks so much for listening again today. We'll see you in 2 weeks from today. And thank you so much for listening again. We'll see you next time on Snackology.
What's our sign off? Do we have a sign off? What's our tagline?
I can find out.
Is it the most important meal is snack? No, we didn't. It wasn't that one.
This was kind of our description on Twitter. Bringing the world the best and most detailed information about the delights that make our tummy tingle. Snackology.
Hey, that's good.